It's been said that neither a wise man nor a brave man lies down on the tracks of history to wait for the train of the future to run over him. Are you wise? Are you brave? Casey Jones proved his bravery on board Engine 382, originating in Memphis 113 years ago. Engine number 5 originated in Memphis too, but it's on track for a different fate. Every negative headline, every tweet questioning whether or not I'll make it. Every time you doubt me, you shovel another load of coal into engine number 5. Put your ear to the tracks. Do you hear it? It's picking up a full head of steam. You see that bright light at the end of the tunnel? Well, you'll soon realize the devastating reality. That light you see? That's engine number 5 bearing down on you, and I will not be derailed. My name is Jarnell Stokes, and this is Tennessee.
What's going on, Facebook? What's up, YouTubes and Twitter? Our very first episode of Jarnell Live. Well, we don't even know if we're going to call it Jarnell Live. Maybe you guys could help us with a name for Jarnell Stokes' first episode every Saturday morning, 10ish for right now. How you doing, Jarnell?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Appreciate the introduction. That was a very cool video. Brought me back, man.
Do you remember doing that shoot for UT?
Yeah, I do actually. It took some time out of my homework schedule, but I enjoyed it because now one of my biggest passions outside of basketball is filmmaking, screenwriting, and that was one of my first times just being behind the scenes of a shoot. Like it was like I was somewhat of the director and the actor.
Wow.
And yeah, it felt cool, right?
Wow. Where was that filmed at?
That was filmed. I used to stay at Sturkey Lofts, so it was right next door. It was downtown near that movie, the Henley. What's that square? Market Square. Yeah.
Wow.
5 years ago, man. I can't believe it's been that long.
Wow. It looks like somebody reminded me. We just. I don't know how I got a C in your name, but I had it Stockes, but I just fixed it.
The big stock market.
See, I've gotten pretty good at this OBS thing where we could do about anything on here. But this show's going to be the 4th of July edition, kind of a shorter show. But are you ready to tell people who might be helping you as a co-host on this show every Saturday morning so they can tune in and see you guys?
Yeah, well, as of now, I'm still looking, but it just seems as if C.J. Watson, Alexis Hornbuckle, potentially Billy, Bobby,
Yep.
May, different guys around Knoxville will be able to join and just talk about different issues amongst, Tennessee as a whole, the entire United States. I mean, right now, basketball is definitely important. But right now, there are so many things going on around the world that deserves, the same amount of attention. So we're not only going to talk about sports and give our unique opinions on, football, basketball, baseball, but we're also going to talk about.
Got to do one show at a time. Get it looking good. Getting all the graphics done. And I tell you what, Jarnell, one of the things that always comes up every time I've been bragging. I've been name dropping Jarnell Stokes like crazy since we started talking on the phone about your new show. And everybody, you can almost set your watch to it'll say that was not a charge against Michigan. Tell us about that play. Was that really not a charge? Can you set the record straight that was in fact not a charge?
Heck no, man. That's no way. Like it was a situation where from where the referee was standing, he didn't have a good angle. That was someone else call, even though he was the one on the baseline. He had his back turned towards me, so he couldn't see whether the defender shift. If you want to get super technical, I even lost the ball because of before the defender, which I was actually running towards an open space to get the ball. I wasn't running through a man to go get a ball. So he had to have been shifting. But listen, I'm so far past that play in my life. I do remember though. I couldn't do anything the next like 2 days. It was like I was freaking paralyzed in my world. I felt like I let the entire university down, especially knowing me and why I came to the University of Tennessee. Sweet 16 was good. I wasn't thinking of it like, wow, we'll go and recruit the top class in the freaking nation, and go win the SEC and top number one team in the country. I wasn't thinking that as far as helping Tennessee. I wanted to be the one to do it, but it does give me some relief knowing that I helped with that recruiting class. I mean, we made it to the Sweet 16 on a year where we, almost flunked and started fighting each other and the fans and, made it another NIT year. So, that was the start of another resurrection in Tennessee. So to just go back to that play, I put so much pressure on myself. I can't believe I left Tennessee like that, but it turns out I actually left it in better hands than I thought.
Yeah, we've been on fire, and you and those guys, Mayman, you brought his name up. There was a lot of guys on that team that really got us going. We had a spurt in the early 2000s with Ron Slay and those guys, and then we had a lull, and then we got Quanzo, and I was a huge fan of Quanzo Martin, a huge,
Mm.
huge, huge fan. I was,
Why?
well, I knew him at Missouri State,
Okay.
and I see what he did there, and I just liked I like the way he carried himself. I guess I didn't, as
Mm.
far as being an X's and O's coach. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but he has a great story. From
Mm.
I guess what really made me like Martin was I saw him give a speech about as a kid his mom was they were poor single mom. She used to take him and his maybe a sibling or two, I can't remember, to like the rich part of town in St. Louis, to where they were
Mm.
selling houses, and said this is what you can get. And they would take a tour like an open house, and that
Yeah.
would be this is what you can do if you work hard. And
Mm. Wow.
he just had
Nice.
a great story. I ought to find that somewhere, or maybe we
Nice. Yeah,
could.
yeah, that sounds good, but do fans even care about that side of it?
I
Isn't
don't
it all
know.
about the
I don't
coach?
know. But the fans, you're right. You say you've moved past it, but you know how us Tennessee fans are. It's hard for us to
Yeah.
move past a bad call, especially
Yeah, seriously.
when we've been hungry so long to do something in basketball or even football. When you get a bad call, we're talking about it for months or even years, depending on how bad it was.
Yeah, seriously, man. I've been, just as an athlete at Tennessee, it's it's pretty challenging. You feel like you're always being judged. You feel like someone's always watching your shoulder. But there's also a bonus to that as well. The people care, and you also understand that all your work and the hard things that you put in to be great will be rewarded at Tennessee for sure. They will certainly fill up those stands. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But I feel for a coach. That's honestly, I can never coach, man. Like after seeing what Coach Martin went through, um, it's not to say that he went through something as crazy as how it used to be, like in the '60s and '70s, where they would go and burn your house down or something. But
Yeah.
he definitely experienced some weird scenarios that I don't even feel comfortable sharing. But there were some fans that was out to get him,
Yeah, and
and I'm so glad.
I never
Yeah.
liked that. I never liked that
Mm-hmm.
at all. I guess because I used to live in that area of Missouri, and I got to see him up close and personal in the Southwest Missouri area, and
Mm-hmm.
I've liked him from day one. And
Nice. Nice. Nice.
I liked him the day they announced it. I said, man, that's a home run, and I wished it could have worked
Mm-hmm.
out. And that's something. That's just something for another show. Tell everybody
Yeah.
kind of what you're wanting to do with your show every Saturday on here. Kind of what you want to talk about, sports and life and social. Kind of give a rundown what they can expect every Saturday.
Well, I live for a living, so don't think I'm just out here shooting hoops. I travel the world. I didn't only play in China. I went and started a business and wrote movies and, started a foundation and I actually built up, a tribe of fans out in China. When I travel the world, I'm just another athlete. I'm just another black guy. I'm not the Jarnell Stokes that you guys knew once I go other places. So I only say that to say that I have a lot of stories to tell. I have a lot of experience. So it could range. Like last week, I dealt with this horrific police stop where just on that same day, 3 people had done some very small racist things. You know me, I'm not in the hood. I'm traveling the world, so I'm living with the most richest people in the world as well, which means I'm predominantly surrounded by white people. And small things like once you're walking into a hotel room, a mom will run to her 2-3 kids and grab them like you're the freaking boogeyman, or hopping on the elevator and seeing someone just don't want to get on the elevator with you. It's weird. Or I could be eating and someone say something that resembles the N word. I mean, I get this all the time where people don't want to deliver to my house. And then there was last week where I had a police stop, and I made eye contact with the police at the gas station, and 5 minutes later, he pulled me over down the road, like, what are you doing trailing me? But, it's what a lot of people are going through right now. That police stop didn't turn into much, but, I was held up for an hour, and I dealt with some racism where cops ganged up on me, and the whole neighborhood came out because, if you're a black guy being stopped by the police right now, that's freaking mainstream media.
Yeah, they got their cameras rolling. I remember when that happened. I believe I talked to you on the phone that day or right after that happened. And
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
sad. That's pretty sad. But
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
talk about
But
that.
things
What
like
about
that.
fitness and life? I know you were
Mm-hmm.
really excited about that.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's something that happened last week that really, really would have been something that I would have shared with you guys, just how passionate I am about, ending unconscious racism. But I'm just as passionate about mindfulness and self-love and fitness and, just using that in an alternative way. It's like I heard this slogan where, and I'm not against Eastern or Western medicine, but I knew a doctor that, sold me some dope. She didn't have to go to jail. And it's that simple
Wow.
in the world that we're living in where, Eastern and Western medicine are so different. I have this benefit of owning a supplement business where we create premium botanicals from scratch. And so I'm able to understand superfoods and everything that they do to a T, to where, I feel as if alternative medicine and preventing getting into the hospital is the best medicine. Like I'm surrounded by doctors like Dr. Lori, who's been on Huffington Post, and Dr. Phil, Dr. McDermott, who is my podcast partner on Keep It Real. I mean, Dr. Flam, who owns an alternative business out in San Diego. These are my business partners, and this is who I surrounded myself with after I left Tennessee. So, the alternative help and how mental health. I mean, we have AIDS, we have COVID, we have, sinuses, freaking Alzheimer's. Mental illness is just as important. So I'm the type where I see preventing any type of health issues be just as important as taking medicine. And, I'm also the type to hold my leaders accountable And I also want to know more about what's going on in the audience and what you guys are thinking. So I would appreciate any questions. I'm open to answering anything without a bias. This is totally not my show. I keep telling Bobby and Billy that this is our show. You know, as the fans, you're also a part of this show. So if you want to leave a comment or something that you want to talk about, even if you want to join the freaking show, let's talk business. Let's talk world. Let's talk making a change. So I don't represent black or white or left or right or any of this Democrat, Republican, mess. I represent one humanity that's good versus bad, and I'm fighting for the good side. I'm in a position where I definitely have a fair share of money and great things going for me. But I represent that bleeding hand that doesn't have that many opportunities. Obviously, if I spoke for myself, I could, be sipping a mojito out on the beach somewhere. But I prefer to, stress myself out over all the craziness that's going on in the world in hopes I help someone along this process.
Well, somebody's already gave us an idea, and if you've got an idea for the name of the show, email jarnell.stokes@volunteerroadshow.com. He'll get the email and the suggestions. But I got a suggestion over here by D4 from Greenville. He said, "Get stoked with Jarnell Stokes." That's a good suggestion.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah.
that might work. And he asked,
"Isn't that like the get milk, got milk or something?"
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah. But anyway, before we I read some of these comments off, because like you said, this is our show. This is actually the fan show. This show belongs to the fans, the viewers, because without them, it wouldn't be possible. I started 2 or 3 years ago with just a camera phone, and it was really, you talk about mental health. I was suffering from depression within a month of starting. I was totally off Zoloft, and I focused totally on this and got to meet some of the greatest people across this country driving. They'd recognize me at a truck stop or something because everybody knew I drove a truck. It's just been a great experience. Not anything at your level or Billy Ratliff's level, but at a small level. Internet is powerful. It's a powerful, powerful tool. And I'd like to thank our sponsors, Hound Dogs, on Kingston Pike. Let's try to buy local instead of buying from these big stores. And it's a local business. They suffered a lot during this COVID-19 thing. And anytime we can support the little guy, let's do that, guys. We got Tennessee Tap House on Peters Road in Knoxville. That's where we did our watch parties last year. And, of course, hashtag Sam Strong. That's the foundation that Volunteer Roadshow is trying to do. Named after my son, who was diagnosed, many of you know, with leukemia this past January of 2019. And he's doing great. But let's read off some comments. We got Scott Callhorn. He's always in here. He says, "Y'all have me fired up this morning." And he's the one that told me about the C and Stokes. Rob Ferguson, the Stoker Speak. David Newcomb's always in here. He said, "What's up, Vol fam?" Cassandra Singleton. Henry Riddle. He said, "This is going to be a dope show. Go Big Orange." And, of course, we got D4 over here on YouTube. That's all I can read off at this time. But we're going to make this a short show because everybody's got some fireworks, some ribs to cook. We got some tater salad to eat here in a little while. But I saw something on my news feed that talked about the NBA season. What is it, down to 20 teams or 22 teams in Orlando, and they were going to start putting social issues messages on their uniforms. What do you know about that? What do you think about the season and that particular thing? I don't know if you read that article or knew about it, but maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to basketball. I think there's a lot of mental health issues going on around the world that people somewhat need to escape. But you do know where I stand with escapism. I do feel like there are a lot of times where some people just need to get quiet. Like me, I make a lot of money. I go and do a lot of things, but, I go dark a lot. Like I turn my phone off where not even my mom, the person that's living with me can't even get to me, and that's kind of where I live. So when it comes to sports, I use it as a tool. But as far as the NBA, I'm actually friends with a few of the players that it's mixed emotions. It's so weird. It's like you got half the league that wants to play. You have this huge social unrest and COVID situation going on, and then you also have a high risk for injury for athletes who hadn't been working out and playing. There are some players right now that's been on the couch all month, all the past 2 months. So now they're trying to scramble and get ready, and it's going to be a weird event to say the least. But I'm excited. I feel as if the Lakers are definitely going to pull it out, in my opinion. But I'm also excited for the Grizzlies too. I can see myself being like that Spike Lee for the Grizzlies one day. Since I was a little kid, I used to just go and sit in the nosebleed section and like just watch these guys. Like I didn't want to even talk to them. I didn't want to, I didn't want to watch the game. I didn't care who won or lost. I would just watch the players on the bench. Like, how do they wipe their face? How do they drink Gatorade? And I would get the chills from literally, not even understanding basketball. It was just like, I just want to be there. Like, I'm going to be in that uniform, So
And
um,
you wore a Grizzlies
exactly,
uniform. That was great.
exactly, man. So I'm definitely going to be a huge Grizzly fan, and that's what I'm cheering for. But I'm also in the movement with some of the players that are hoping to one day start a new league. I'm not the type to and I hope I don't offend anyone. I speak my own opinion, but I feel as if there are some situations going on in the league where, just as players, we can be a lot smarter and we could, provoke change. And it's a new generation. The platforms are set up. It's not this simple TV. What was the first channel? CNN, Fox,
TNT.
PBS.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. The crap BET. It's not that anymore. We got social media and we have so many different platforms that you can stream from where who knows? Like, I love it. I love the future of where America is headed because it seems as if competition and capitalism, like in the past, I'm not sure and I'm going off, I'm kind of ran, but
Go.
um, I'm not sure if we as a country we're living in a capitalistic world. It seems like the people at the top got a bit greedy with the
Mm-hmm.
airwaves, with how they own ownership with sports. I mean, it's like if you just look, it's only a few people that own freaking everything. So it seems like entrepreneurship and capitalism is finally taking into shape where we can market, we can sell anywhere. It's more freedom. It's less of a one-sided government and people. So I'm excited, man. I'm from basketball, and I only say that to be sure people don't accuse me of just trying to be on the Black Lives Matter movement. I'm not part of the Black Lives Matter movement. Let me be clear. I do care about all lives, but I am a part of the One Love movement.
Yeah.
Whatever Bob Marley represented,
Oh
what did
yeah.
JFK represent? But that's a story for another day, man. I'm just excited to be here because I've been in a situation where I went to Tennessee. I've been this huge athlete. I've scored 20, 30 points and stay after game and have 1,000 fans stay and watch me and want autographs. But no one asked me about how I felt. No one asked me about my opinions and views on the world. I always had that underlying feeling of that's why I went to Tennessee to do things like this. I didn't want to go to Memphis and just help the city. I wanted to help the entire state. So
Yeah.
one day I want to run for governor and hopefully president. That's the mission I'm on. I hope I don't have to cut my hair. I love it. But yeah, so I'm just happy to be able to do this show and connect with fans in a different way. And the times are just, it couldn't be more perfect.
Well, you're talking about, capitalism, and I don't know that we've ever really, at least in the last 150 years, really lived in a true free market society. We think we have, but with the
Mm-hmm.
regulations, you really don't. But
Yeah.
that was one of the things after I got Billy Ratliff, he opened up a lot of doors, and now Jarnell Stokes, he's even going to open up even more doors for the Volunteer Roadshow. But that's one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I had on my heart was to have a platform, alternative sports media, where we can, as in an entrepreneurial spirit, with social media and the internet, go to volunteerroadshow.com. There's a lot of things that we can do that we can help athletes get on a platform without selling their souls to the devil, just to be able to say that they've been on the radio or on the TV, where they can actually come in and share in the revenue and really promote something and do something on an alternative level. And it looks like we lost Jardell, but we can say some of the
But
some of the things that we want to say because we run our own ship. So we're on the same page there. That was one of the things that I really liked about our talks that we had, and there's just so much that we can talk about, not just sports.
yeah,
And I wanted Volunteer Roadshow when I first approached Billy's. I wanted it to be about life. I want to interview some of the great stories in life. One to give you an example. You're a younger guy, but one of the Billy, I told Billy, I said, above Peyton Manning, above T. Martin, my number one sought after interview was Dwayne Goodrich, who was a
right.
teammate of his, had some problems, had a vehicular homicide type thing, went to prison,
Mm.
and came out, doing great and really gave back to the
Um,
community. That's the kind of people that I wanted on my show. And
Me too.
if you would have asked me, do you want I'll give you Peyton Manning or Dwayne Goodrich, and Billy will tell you. I said I'll take Dwayne Goodrich because that's the direction I want the show to go. I want to hear the stories that nobody else will probably have an opportunity to hear, because
Exactly.
maybe they're an unsung hero or whatever. But anyway,
Exactly, man.
um,
Exactly. Let me ask you this: are you buying into COVID? Are you wearing your mask, and do you believe the cases are really where they are?
you put me on the spot, Jarnell.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's as bad as what the media is putting out there.
Okay.
I think it is. I think it is. It's strange. I don't know what to
Yeah.
believe because you want to think, man, this just seems so orchestrated to me. I just got an orchestrated feel to it, and I don't know why. I just have that. Maybe it's the timing.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that's going on with the Floyd situation, all these situations, COVID, back on a second wave. It's almost like it's orchestrated to me, but I may be wrong. I'm not a
Yeah.
doctor. I'm being safe. I use my hand sanitizer, but I have
Me
to
too.
realize that you go too far with that cleanliness, you start losing your immunity. Part of our immunity
Mm.
is being exposed to things.
I haven't heard that. That's interesting, man. I'm in the same position. I feel exactly how you feel, and I'm also thinking back, like if this was like 15, 20, maybe 30 years ago, everybody would have believed it. Like there wouldn't have been no like weirdness going on. Like
Yeah,
things just seem weird right now. It's too weird to just fully buy in.
yeah.
But these facts that we have, all these different sources, the ability to somewhat think for ourselves, it just seemed like people were more, bought into the media back then. So I'm happy, man. I see the consciousness evolving. I'd be scared to have a conversation like this. To be honest, I
Not on,
grew up an introvert, so I
not on this
personally,
show. We can talk about anything, and this is going to
there
help
you
you
go.
personally. Because when I first started, man, Jarnell, I don't even go back and watch my first 10 or 12 videos. I hated the way I sounded. You
Me
could tell
too.
I wasn't very good at it, but I got better. Now, man, I could talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just,
Mm-hmm. Same here, man. I remember just in high school before I got to Tennessee. Tennessee was a huge culture shock for me, but just being in Memphis, it was just like, where's the articulate leaders? Where are the English speakers? I was surrounded by, just straight pessimism, and I'm not sure I was ever taught, past a fourth, fifth grade reading level. Just being 1,000% with you, I was pretty dumb when I got to Tennessee. you know, so let's be honest. When I talk about where I came from and I talk about where I am now, it's important that I bring up that I was this introverted, nervous, somewhat of a, angry, but, still had that natural smartness, but couldn't articulate myself. So before I got to Tennessee, I'm not sure I was I'm not sure I could even read a book, let's just be honest. So I just want to make sure people don't label, me, and I really do want to help people where I'm from, but I also want to help all kinds and all types of people. And this is why I've worked on myself. Like there was one summer when I was in China, I didn't just play ball in China. I started a business, wrote a script, read like over 40 books. Like, wow. Seriously, I couldn't stress enough how important it was. Like, because, I was with the Nuggets before that. And, I was going up against JaVale McGee. Freaking, why did I choose to guard JaVale McGee? Why did coach put me on this man? But he stepped on my foot, and that was my first time ever dealing with an injury. My foot broke. I remember getting fired, released from the Nuggets the next day. I went home and cried. Ordered some donuts and, just ordered some freaking pizza, a 40, some lick. And, that was my week, seriously, every day. And I was just in a situation where, I couldn't go to the gym anymore. So it was social media. It was like, how can I, meet up with this chick today? How, what TV shows? It was nothing about helping people. It was all about, getting money and having fun. It was a dopamine addiction. So to make a long story short, I finally got out of that funk by going to, I was at the bar one day. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was a guy that was in the military. I was drinking by myself, and he literally, you can tell he was he walked like a Detroit bad boy, had on a suit, had a limp like he had been shot up or some shit. So this guy sits by me and just starts talking. He, of course, he starts the conversation. You play with the Nuggets. I was like, this is my first guy that, has seen me after a while, because now I'm just Jarnell. I'm not Stokes anymore. So, I'm sitting here and now I can drink at the bar. No one knows. But this guy recognized me. He tells me a story about how, he had this dream like I did of being a sergeant in the military. And, his first week there, he got shot up, first week out in the field. And, he got shot 9 times and he could barely walk. He couldn't use certain parts of his arm. He said that was the best thing that ever happened to him. And that just freaking, I was like, who are you? Are you a freaking angel or something? Like, how is that the best thing that ever happened? You being shot and sent back home to where you can't even, freaking do a lot of, like, have sex was one of them that just blew me away. Like, wow, like this guy. But, and he said the reason why was because he finally understood his priorities and his purpose. He was able to spend more time with his family and his wife. He was able to start some writing. He actually started a business for people who are handicapped, which he wasn't, but people or previous vets dealing with situations, and handicap was one of them. But, just when I say all this to say, like, I was, that guy, literally, I was shot up in the bed. I was, in tears because I thought I was going to be LeBron James. You're talking to an Olympic gold medalist. You're talking to a top 10, top 5 player in high school, McDonald's, Jordan. I could have went to Kentucky, all these things. And it's hard. I know fans can sometimes go to the next team where they, support Grant and the next year, and then the next year after that is no more Coach Martin, it's Rick Barnes. And it's, but I have to live with my decisions. And I must say, I came out of it much stronger to where I no longer woke up looking for social media. It was, waking up to meditation, eating right. It was no longer about, just starting a business. I wanted to show people the way. So let me be the business. Let me live it. Let me actually, instead of being 270 pounds, what I was at Tennessee and 260 with the Miami Heat, let me drop some weight. So now I'm at like 245. It's been a very, very weird situation where everything I've always feared, like reading and talking to people and doing this podcast, like I got to be honest with you, Bobby, I was nervous to do this show with you, man. I'm a big time introvert. Like I was nervous as shit. And what makes me happy now is knowing that I no longer give a shit. I know I'm a great person. I feel solidified, and I've been through the pain and traumas that made me who I am today because I've, looked in the mirror and addressed, who I was before. I was just an athlete looking for money. I would go to events, hoop jams the Vols do every year to go with the mentally challenged. And, I go see kids and go paint with them. And just, I'm thinking in my head, like, when the fuck can I go home? Like, I cannot, like, I'm not getting paid for this shit. Like, even seeing kids, it was like, I'm not getting paid for this. Let's be honest, so. And now it's all about the kids. It's all about the next generation. Like, I feel like I'm getting paid for just talking right now because I'm helping other lives, and that's something that's much stronger than what money can ever do for me. And the fact that I figured all this out at age 23, I can actually run for governor now. When I signed up to go to Tennessee at age 17, at first it was, something else, but it was all about the money and getting to the league. Now I'm ready to actually, now I don't even know if I want to run for governor. It's kind of like, I see the laws, I see all the mess they have to go through. Like, I can imagine the governors at each state where you have the people and the Congress and different judicial systems working against you. And then you have, those working for you, but then you have your boss, the president, making it extremely hard for you to get anything done because he wants things to stay the way it is, which is, more law and order, more stricter, and I've learned, from running 3 businesses and being able to make many partnerships that it's extremely important to embrace conflict. It seems like he not only embraces it, but he doesn't really listen. It's almost like a callus. Once I get into it with an employee, it's probably intentionally done. It's to a point where I can get them to understand me. But then after you do this, after you break them down, you have to build people back up. Yeah. And right now he's all about breaking people down, more law and order, more patrolling, less. I don't see the opportunity. So I'm not a left or right guy. I'm not against Trump. I'm not for Biden. Trust me, I can see both sides doing some bad stuff. So I'm just a guy that thinks for himself.
Well, it sounds
I hope that addressed
Memphis has produced a great son in Jarnell Stokes, and I spent some time there. My son is being treated at St. Jude, and the Grizzlies would come in very regularly to St. Jude and hang out with some of the patients. And he took me to this fried chicken place downtown. Man, it was packed. This famous place, I forget the name of it, but Memphis has got a lot of history and a lot of culture, a lot of soul, a lot of blues. Beale Street. There's just a lot going on in Memphis, and I'm just so glad you're part of the Volunteer Road Show, and I'm just super pumped. And before we go, because we're going to make this really short, give me a couple of minutes. We have over here Don on YouTube. Mention Rick Barnes, how he's a winner. Kind of tell everybody your vision with meeting with Rick Barnes and what you would like to do. What you told me on the phone, and I'd like to help in that too, because I've been down there. I know Billy could get you in with Phil Fulmer and some of the things you would like to do.
Nice. Well, it all started out when I saw this. It really started out with me going to Tennessee, and I would see that sponsors, and maybe this isn't a question for Rick, but he can certainly help. I would see sponsors and different projects being built, and they'll help us run. Give us more weights. Let's make the weight room prettier. so we could feel better while we were pushing them up. It's still the same weights to me, but
Mm-hmm.
I would like that as an athlete. It helped. It really did. Let's be honest. But I would also, like I can tell you about my first time at Tennessee. I literally had a situation where I couldn't even buy food for myself to eat on the first night because if I miss that the 6:30 cutoff time at Gibbs where they serve food, I couldn't. It was almost like I didn't have enough money to eat. It's even hard to say to this day. And I had a girl, so I was trying to show out for her too. But I say all this to say, we would buy projects and the athletes would be broke. Then I would go to the community, which these were my friends, and on the east side of Knoxville, and it was a struggle. It was a huge struggle. I would see the museum. I forgot the name of it. It was a Black museum. It was like one of the first buildings in Knox. And, that was struggling too. But I would just see so much struggle around the entire state. And I would just wonder, why are we investing all these dollars into projects? And then also, I see Tennessee give athletes a platform to talk on now, which is very, very good. But I'm wondering, how much can some of these athletes give? I was that kid that couldn't really articulate and I didn't have much to give. Like if you go to my Facebook page and see, my old Facebook page, I ran out of friends back then. That was the thing before Instagram and Twitter blew up. So I definitely filled up there. And I just had on a Trayvon Martin hoodie, like literally just my head down. I am Trayvon Martin. I couldn't even say why. Like, how can I help? How can I lead a platform? So I say that to Rick Barnes and Farmer, and hopefully we can make it change to where we get more articulate leaders, more controversial topics, less about us ourselves as athletes in Tennessee and more about the entire state of Tennessee. And that's why I came. Hopefully I feel, and maybe I can do more work as an entrepreneur and a philanthropist as a governor, because I'm not as restricted. So I look forward to doing, like right now, I'm involved in a multi-million-dollar project. I'm also going back to summer school at Tennessee, but I'm having second thoughts about the summer school part. Like I'm wondering if Tennessee is going to really step up and be more of a community leader before I, decide to be a leader at Tennessee. I personally don't need the degree. Like, let's be honest. I figured out a way to make a lot of money just selling products and products that help people at that. So I'm just hoping to make change. I want Rick Barnes to step up more in the community. I want the entire university, even fans. I'm interested in that bleeding hand that's in the community begging for more opportunities, not more law and order. And, I'm not apologetic about my reason for, being more involved in Tennessee. I could definitely, like I said earlier, go out to Yellowstone and go sip a few mojitos and forget about life. Go play golf with, Michael Jordan and them.
Well, one of the things that's really come out of this whole thing is we're going to supposedly, this is what Tennessee announced, we're going to be wearing black jerseys for the Kentucky game, the football game, and they're going to auction off the jerseys and give it to the local community in Knoxville, in Tennessee, across Tennessee. And I think that's a great idea. There was a lot of hoopla that it was going to Black Lives Matter and a political organization, but T. Martin came out and said, hey, it's going to a local community. Our local community is who's going to be getting the money from these black uniforms. And I think them black uniforms are lit. They look great.
Yeah, seriously. I love them. Yeah, that's nice to hear. Do you know what community that is?
He said the local Knoxville area. Like,
Okay. Oh, cool, cool. Well, nice. Is T. Martin pretty active in the community?
yeah, he's our quarter wide receivers coach at Tennessee.
Ah, nice,
I think he'll
nice.
end up. I think when Cheney goes on, he'll probably slip in and become offensive coordinator. But yeah,
Ah,
we got
nice.
we're starting to get some VFLs on the thing. So anyway, guys, I wanted to thank y'all for watching. And for those that didn't get to watch the beginning of the show, how we introed it was from 2013. A little thing that Jarnell did along the racetrack. I mean the train tracks, and we're gonna play that going out. So tell everybody goodbye, Jarnell, and I'll close the show out.
All right, you guys, man, I really appreciate you listening. Hope that you gain some value. Every time you listen here, it'll be guaranteed value. And hopefully next time we bring on some more guests like Alexis Hornbuckle and CJ Watson, maybe Billy and Wagner and Ron Slade can join the show again too. So I really look forward to it. See you next Saturday, you guys.
All right, guys. Go Vols. Enjoy this little 2-minute segment of Jarnell back in the day when he was repping that big orange.
It's been said that neither a wise man nor a brave man lies down on the tracks of history to wait for the train of the future to run over him. Are you wise? Are you brave? Casey Jones proved his bravery on board engine 382, originating in Memphis 113 years ago. Engine number 5 originated in Memphis too, but it's on track for a different fate. Every negative headline, every tweet questioning whether or not I'll make it. Every time you doubt me, you shovel another load of coal into engine number 5. Put your ear to the tracks. Do you hear it? It's picking up a full head of steam. You see that bright light at the end of the tunnel? Well, you'll soon realize the devastating reality. That light you see? That's engine number 5 bearing down on you, and I will not be derailed. My name is Jarnell Stokes, and this is Tennessee.